Welcome to the Your Life Rocks podcast, where we believe life balance is possible. Yes, even for you. This show is designed to help working moms focus on the things that matter most in life and helping you balance all that life has for you with practical tips from one working mom to another. My name is Jenny Stemmerman, and I am so glad that you're here to hang out with me today. Welcome to week 3 of our 7-week challenge. Now, if you missed the first 2, no sweat. Each challenge week can stand alone, so you can join us right here, right now. Now, if you want to go back to the previous challenges, that's awesome too, but do this one with us now and first and make this your week 1. Then you can go back and do the others later. Now, I totally recommend signing up for the bonus content if you have not done so already. The bonus content is housed in an online course, so you can easily toggle back and forth between the different weeks, and all of the challenge activities, links to all the helpful information, and so much more. Plus, if you save that URL for the challenge, so this online course, if you save that URL as like a bookmark, you can come back and do this challenge whenever you want to. Whenever you're having like a hard week, you can go back through and just say, okay, I'm going to choose one of the challenges to do this week. Or you could even turn it all into like a daily thing. You could totally do that. Now, you can sign up for the bonus content by going to yourliferocks.com or our Facebook page or on Instagram at your.life.rocks. Those dots are important to make sure you find the right Your Life Rocks on Instagram. But the link in the bio will take you there so you can sign up for the challenge. Now, really, like I was saying before, you could do the 7-week challenge over 7 days if you wanted to. We're just taking it over 7 weeks because we're going slow because it is summertime, and summer is just a really good time to slow down a little bit and go a little bit deeper. So that's what we're doing. Now, this week's challenge is all about cultivating your community. And yes, we have talked about this before on the podcast. In fact, it's one of the pillars to having balance in your life, of what we believe will create more balance for you in your life. And if you're new to the show, we believe that life balance is possible if you have 3 things. Now, before I say what these 3 things are, let me just say you are the one who defines what life balance means to you. But however you define it, you're going to have these 3 things if you feel like your life is in balance. Number 1 is putting God first and foremost in your life. Following Jesus with your life is the number 1 way of finding balance in your life. That's why he's kind of called the Prince of Peace, you guys. Makes sense, right? Number 2 is community, and number 3 are the systems. Now, why is community so important? Because when you live your life in a vacuum, all of your problems seem bigger than they actually are. And we can become very self-focused and self-consumed, and that's just not a good thing. No one wants to be around us when we're like that, right? And we're just not designed to live that way. But plus, as a working mom, we need help and we need prayer and we need accountability from other godly women in our lives. Now, honestly, this was the hardest thing for God to teach me. Following him, yes, all day long. I got that. I wasn't raised a Christian, so I know all too well what life feels like without him. So, I definitely want life with him. And systems, well, after I first rebelled against them, because that's just my nature, to be someone who's a little bit more of a free spirit and not to necessarily follow systems, I now know that when I follow systems in my life, like weekly prep, having a morning routine, and even following the life balance system, for me, that becomes my self-care because it keeps things in control. It makes it so the chaos doesn't completely overwhelm me every single day, every single week. It makes it all work. But community, now I'm a pretty self-reliant person. I've always been very, very independent. Plus, I'm an introvert. So, it's kind of a perfect storm for me to just fly solo all the time. And so this was a really, really hard one for me. Not to mention the fact that I'm a human and I have lived. And that means I have been hurt by people, deeply. So I often find myself wondering, why do I need to have people in my life if they just hurt me and I can kind of do life without them? It doesn't necessarily make sense for me to have community. Yet God has shown me time and time again why he has designed it that way. So we were not meant to live on an island, metaphorically speaking. because honestly, I could just go by with just my family and that just being enough. But over the years, God has really showed me all of the different reasons why that's not the case. And there are so many reasons. He keeps continually showing me these things. I mean, if you've ever struggled with something and you've given it to God, you know, right? Like it's never like I shouldn't say never. Sometimes it is like a one and done healed deal and you move on. But sometimes it's like a slow reveal, right? Like you get to a new layer of understanding as you continue to grow and expand. And God's just good like that, right? Well, this is one of those areas for me. So in today's episode, we're going to go through the 3 reasons why I believe community is so important. All right. So number 1, and this is really the biggest one, is that it's God's will for our life. So to rebel against having community, or for me to feel like I don't need it. I don't need a bunch of friends or to be involved with things. I can just kind of do things on my own. That goes against the will of God. And as someone who wants to follow God, I certainly don't want to go against the will of God. I mean, we were meant for community. He literally built us for each other. Depending on each other's gifts is how it is all supposed to work. Number 2, your gift, the gift that God has given you, it's meant to serve others. You know, sometimes when we think about community, and when I've talked about community in past episodes before, we really kind of can use that lens of what we get out of it, like making it all about us. And don't we do that with so many other things? But maybe we need to change our perspective to think what others will get out of having us in their life. What will people get from you by having you in their life? How will you be able to bless them? Maybe it's getting to laugh at your sense of humor, or to be encouraged by your words, or blessed by your works and the things that you do and the things that you're really talented at. I mean, think about it just even this way. Think about how you feel when others really see you. When they remember what's going on in your life, when they remember what's going on in your kids' lives, when they really listen and they look you in the eye and you feel that connection. Know how that feels? Well, you have the opportunity to treat others that same way, to treat them the way that you would want to be treated, and to see them the way that you would want to be seen. Other people truly, truly need you. Now, this one, it involves actually showing up, like fully, like not just walking in and being in a room, but like fully being present and being there, if you know what I'm saying. Because community is not just about collecting people or groups that fill up your time. It's really about being authentically you, who God made you to be, going deeper and not hiding. And this one, man, this one can be hard because we can fool ourselves to say, oh, no, I have a good community. I've built a strong community. I volunteer at church and I participate in a small group, and I've joined these different clubs or different activities, and my kids are in these clubs and activities. And so, you know, I have community with the other parents in those. But just because you have things on your calendar does not mean you have relationships. So you want to make sure you're not, just because you're around people doesn't mean you are in community with people. There is a difference between those two things. And number 3 is that prayer is really powerful. I can't even tell you how many times I have been blessed by others praying for me. And honestly, like, this is just me being super honest. I don't love asking for prayer. Like, even though I know how deep the blessings are and how great it is, and how many times my prayers have been answered by other people praying for me. Like, it is powerful, and I know that, yet still I struggle. This has been so hard. Now, I can remember the very first time I was in a women's Bible study group and they were asking for prayer requests, and I just felt like asking for prayer would be like whining or complaining, or I don't know, it just didn't feel good. Like it felt like it was something bad. And I didn't want to be known for that. I didn't want people to kind of be like, oh my gosh, that woman's got some drama. There's always things going on in her life that she needs prayer for. Like, I just didn't get it. But you know, God has really been working with me on this one. And while I'll pray for everything myself, like when I am merging onto the freeway, I will pray that Jesus will make a clearing for me, right? To make merging easier. And I will pray for miraculous healing. And I will pray for peace, and I will pray for workloads to feel lighter. I mean, I will pray for everything, but asking other people to pray for me, it's kind of a different, like it's just so different. I don't know why it's different, but it feels so different. And this is where God has shown me that pride really shows up in my life. And so if you struggle with asking people to pray for you, maybe this is something that God wants to speak with you in this challenge this week, is this whole issue around pride. But you know how you get over pride? You have to push through it. When I don't want to ask for prayer, that's when I know I need to ask for prayer, like double time. Plus, you know what? If someone's going to be judging you for the things that you are asking for prayer for, let God work on their heart. My kids and I, we love watching John Crist. He's a Christian comedian online, and he has this little video that he recently did where he says, check your heart. So they can just check their heart, right? If they're going to be judging you for the things that you're asking for prayer for, because really, we need each other to be praying for each other and to even just sharing our burdens. I mean, the Bible talks about that over and over again, about how we were designed not just to bless each other with our gifts, but also to shoulder each other's burdens as we move through life, because there are going to be troubles in this world. And that's why we need Him, and we need the people that He's provided around us. So all of this is goodness, right? Like it's all just seems so well and good, and being like, yeah, I want to like fully show up, and I want to deepen my relationships and be in community with people. And it sounds amazing. It's kind of like a no-brainer, right? Like when we talk about these top 3 things and why it's important, and like we get it, right? But here's the caveat to all of this goodness. You will get hurt. Community, even the way God intended it, it's not perfect because people are not perfect. But this is where growth can really happen for us. Just as God has accepted us and loved us and forgiven us, when we're in community, it's our opportunity to be able to do that for others. And yeah, it's totally not easy, and it totally sucks sometimes, because you know what? Like it's going to happen. You are going to get hurt. You've probably been hurt before from community. And if that's kept you from shying away, I hate, like this is not motivating, but you're going to get hurt again, but it will be worth it. It will be worth it to go through it, because it's in that effort of that struggle that God will grow us. He'll come alongside you and He'll make a way, because you're being obedient to His will, because you're following His lead in your life instead of going your own way. Now, this 7-week challenge is all about helping you create a life of more balance, right? So of course we need to have this as one of the challenges, because it's one of our pillars of how you create balance in your life. But it's also about helping you build a life that rocks, and a life with community. Yeah, there's going to be hard times, but there's going to be so many blessings. There's going to be so many great times, so many memories, so much enrichment in your life that it is going to be so worth it. Like truly, when we're talking about building a life that rocks, a life that you love, this is it. It is people. It is those relationships that you're going to have. So here is the challenge for this week. Number 1, you need to be praying about where you are with community in your life, and really let God lead you into evaluating where you are and where He wants you to be, not our own expectations. Because look, you guys, this is one of those other things that we can just add on or pile on to an already full plate and an already full expectations that we can't meet. It's not about being perfect, but it's just about following where does He want you to be right now in the season that you're in your life, because every season is going to be different. Some seasons you're going to need more community than other seasons you're going to need less. There are going to be seasons where other people need more of you, and there's going to be seasons where you are going to feel like, oh my gosh, I feel so guilty for taking and I'm not giving. But don't worry, it all balances out in the long run, right? It's not about having judgment around it. It's about following God's lead. Now, maybe for you in this process, you're going to need to seek out groups to join or to get involved with. Maybe it's joining a small group at your church if you haven't done that, or maybe your church doesn't have those. Maybe you need to go to a couple, like places and seek something out. And so I'll link in the bonus content to some places that you can do that, to find some local people, because I truly believe in community. You want to be with people, but if you can be with local people where you can meet on a weekly basis or even just see face to face every once in a while, that is way better. If you can't do that, then virtual is great too. I mean, I think if you've listened to the show before, then you know one of my very, very good friends that I talk to every single day, we do life together with, Never met her in person, which I know is weird. It makes me weird, but that's okay. She lives on the other side of the country, and we're always talking about like when we can get together. But, she's got kids, I got kids, work, like all of the stuff, right? Like it's hard. So that's the reality of it. Yet it's still better than nothing. But to have someone who can bring you, like we always talk about this when we're having a bad day, right? Like if you have someone who can bring you a meal when you are just having a crappy time, like there's nothing better than that. Or someone who can come over to your house and just hug you while you cry. Or you can go to their house and serve them when they're having a bad time, right? So it does help to have physical presence, physical community in your life. So I will link to some resources in our bonus content with all of that. Now, maybe for you, you don't need to collect any more people. Like you're already very involved and plugged in, but maybe God is calling you to go deeper rather than wider in your community. How can you show up more and serve others with your talents? And I know this might sound like it's labor intensive or might take more of your precious time that you don't feel like you have. But what if you just went to church without that mask on, without pretending everything is perfect? What if you don't just make small talk, but really engage with the people that you work with each and every single day? Now, it takes intention and it takes guts to go deeper in relationships, but it doesn't always take more time or more things on our plate. Sometimes we think it's going to, and so we'll shy away, but maybe that's just an excuse. Maybe that's just a lie from the enemy telling you you can't afford to go deeper in relationship. Maybe for you, the challenge this week is that you need to start asking for prayer. Maybe you need to start with asking a friend to pray for you or asking your husband or a small group from church. Often even in our Facebook group that we have for listeners of the show, we'll post who needs prayer for what. And you can post in there, and you don't even need to wait for those prompts, by the way. If you're in the community and you need prayer, just put it in there and we will pray for you. Now, every single week as part of my weekly prep in my Life Balance Planner, there's a prayer sheet of who you're going to be praying for that week. And if you have the planner, then you've seen that. It's part of your weekly prep. And I'll go to the group, and anyone who's asking for prayer, I will put that on there and I will pray over you. Now, prayer is so, so powerful. And maybe you need to start praying for other people. Maybe that's where God's going to be guiding you. But maybe it has been a little bit of a pride issue. And maybe the prayer requests that you have been putting out there, either you haven't been or they've been pretty shallow. But prayer is powerful. And even more than that, opening up to other people and letting them pray for you can be really powerful in building relationships too. And by the way, can I just say, for those of you that are doing this challenge and sharing in our Facebook community, you absolutely rock. Seriously, I have not only loved reading your experiences you're having with this challenge, and it's so amazing to follow, and it warms my heart to see how God is really working with this challenge for you in your life. But when you're posting, it's like you're encouraging all the other members of the group, and it is such a beautiful thing. So please keep it up. Keep posting in the Facebook community all of the great things that are coming up for you as you're doing this challenge. And if you're not yet part of our community, it's totally free to join. So you should totally do it. And I will link to it inside the bonus content for this challenge for this week as well. Now, bottom line, real community involves becoming real and building relationships. Again, you can join the challenge by going to yourliferocks.com, go to our Facebook page, Your Life Rocks, or on Instagram at your.life.rocks, and sign up for all of the bonuses that go along with this challenge over the course of this next 7 weeks. And like I said before, then you have access to all of the content and you can just bookmark it and come back to it whenever you need it. I'm so excited to see what God does for you through this week's challenge. If you haven't done so already, make sure you hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on next week's challenge, because it's going to be a good one. And believe it or not, it will mark our halfway mark through the 7-week challenge. So until then, keep building a life that rocks. Bye.